Welcome to Viben Now, a collection of guided meditations put into podcast form for your easy listening. My name is Vivian Gerard, and I will be walking with you through the intoxicating now moments of life here on this planet. These audios are intended to be used as a full meditation if you want to close your eyes, settle down into a comfy spot, and let your subconscious come all the way forward. Or it can simply be some background conversation where the nuggets of information that you most need will make their way into your awareness. Whichever way it works for you, I invite you to open up and enjoy fully this journey of life that we are all taking together. So much love to you.
Okay, good morning. Good morning and welcome to Soulshine. Let us go ahead and dive right in. All right, go ahead and feel yourself in your body here in this moment on a Sunday morning, taking some time to see what's present, see what's ready to move, and feel like everything that is going on right now. So much happening. Such a busy time of the year with school ending and summer beginning and all these plans being made. So taking time just to pause is such a gift. Such a gift. So feel yourself sitting in your chair or on the floor or outside against a tree, wherever you are today. And pause with breath first. So go ahead and notice if you're breathing quickly because you just arrived, or if you have just woken up. Go ahead and connect back in with your breath. So you want to do a long, slow inhale through your nose, and then a longer, slower exhale out through your mouth. And as you do the exhale, feel yourself dropping lower and lower into your body. So for many of us, we live up in the mind. You know, that's just a normal way of navigating our days. And so there's this attention that we seem to have from the headspace. And when you do a long, slow exhale, what you'll find is it's like your energy starts to drop down into your body. And each exhale, as you do that, you're going to come lower and lower into the center of yourself. And what I have found is the heart space, the solar plexus, like those are the center of my space, of my attention. And so as you do that inhale and then that exhale, feel yourself coming in. Yeah, and if you've been really busy, it might take a few of those to feel yourself coming all the way into your body. No judgment. You're just noticing. You're noticing where you are, and you're bringing yourself fully here into this moment. Yeah, let's do a couple of those together. So go ahead and breathe in. And then long, slow exhale. Yeah, if you can stretch it out even longer than you think you can, what you'll notice is it feels almost like your energy drops right into your bottom, so that it's almost like your hand is inside the glove, right? Everything just starts to line up, boop, 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 and it's all aligning. So go ahead and let's do one more inhale, and then long, slow exhale. Good. Good. All right, and then let's imagine that in the center of the space that we're putting our attention on, there's a really powerful magnet that's as strong as gravity is in the center of the earth, except it's calling you back home. It's magnetizing all of the places where your attention is other than here, and it's starting to pull your attention in. So, for example, if you just woke up, your attention might be on the dreams you were having and trying to process through what that was. If you're beginning a busy day, you might find you're already ahead of yourself, thinking of the things, the activities that you have planned for the day or for the week, or for some of us, the activities for the year, right? We're so far ahead in the future. So notice that and just imagine that this center of gravity for you, right, your center of gravity, can become bigger and stronger and louder. Almost like it's beating its own drum, and the parts of you that are outside of right this moment, this body, hear that rhythm, hear that beat, and feel the pull of wanting to come back to center, wanting to come back to home. And you can just imagine those parts of yourself, those aspects of you that are so busy always doing something, can start to arrive back in your physical body, your attention right here. Yeah, you might find, I use the word squirrely. My body gets kind of squirrely when attention is coming back in, energy is coming back, and it's like it wants to move and twist and turn a little bit, right? Sometimes to avoid that energy that is wanting to come back. Sometimes because it feels a little intense to have all of my attention here in one moment. Sometimes the power of that can feel a little scary, right? If I have all of my attention here, then that means I'm fully conscious of what I'm choosing to do next or what I'm choosing to feel next, and I can't hand that responsibility or blame over to anybody else. So just notice what it brings up in you. As you come back here to you, as you come home to you, notice what starts to arise. Again, with no judgment, right? Just curiosity. I wonder why this is showing up in this moment. Yeah, and then imagine you can pull all of the parts of you that sit behind, all of those pieces that are in the past, judging, evaluating, correcting, telling us what we should or shouldn't have done. See if you can allow all of those pieces of yourself to come forward into this moment, into this physical body, and find a place to settle in. I love the image of a jigsaw puzzle. If you're 100% whole, if you're an entire, complete jigsaw puzzle with no missing pieces, and all of those pieces are starting to arrive back into you, right here, each piece knows exactly where to land, exactly where to slide in and fill in that part that might have been missing before. Yeah, so notice the pieces all the way down to your toes, all the way up to your hairline above your head. And then do one more call home, one more drum beat, one more gravitational pull for you to be fully centered. Yep, and just feel everything settling into place. You might need to relax your body, right? Loosen your grip a little bit. This is so what we're looking at today. Loosen your grip and just allow your attention to arrive back in your physical body. Good. All right. Feel your breath again. Here you are, more present than you were when you arrived. Maybe a little prickly or fidgety or squirrely, right? Because so much attention and power is here in this moment. We're going to work with that. So go ahead and just feel whatever is coming up. And then plant your feet on the floor. If you're sitting cross-legged or if you're laying down, you can use your heels or your ankles as your connection point. But if you're sitting in a chair, go ahead and plant your feet and then open them up Imagine you can just feel little trapdoors sliding open so that the bottoms of your soles can literally connect right in with the earth. And then feel or imagine that you have roots, just like a tree, just like a plant. Everything that's growing right now in the springtime, there's such beauty in the growth above the ground. And what we're not seeing is how much rooting has to take place underneath the surface for all of that to happen, right? Those roots are finding the nutrients, the water, the energy from the earth that keeps that growth happening. So I want you to feel that for yourself. So you can just imagine you have tiny little seedlings that are starting to pop from the bottoms of your feet. And they can just start to search, go down. They're looking for dirt. So depending on where you are physically, that might literally just be a foot under the concrete of your home. It might be several floors up, so run those roots out to the floorboards, out to the walls, and then down to the dirt underneath your building. Yeah. And then feel as the roots start to hit the dirt, they know what to do, right? Roots already know how to seek the ground, how to find the nourishment that they need. So what if you can sit here, wherever you are, and allow the roots to do what they know how to do? Yeah, this might be really strange for some of you. What do you mean sit and wait and let it happen? Yeah, what if that's a possibility? What if the roots already know where the most nourishment is? And suddenly, without you realizing, those roots are now 10 feet underneath the ground. And they're spreading out sideways, and they're 100 feet out in all directions underneath you. And you might notice the energetic match of that rooting feels like prickliness perhaps in your legs or tingliness. It might feel like your stomach is being pulled downward, right? Like gravity is pulling and tugging at your body. That's the energetic match to what happens above the ground when you have more rooting under the ground. So imagine the roots now, without you even paying attention, have gone, let's say, 100 feet down. And they've gone 500 feet wide. Yep, and they're going to kind of step their way down. So they're going to go another 100 feet, and another 100 feet wide, and another 100 feet down, and another 100 feet wide. And you can pause at any time. Right, and tell them that's enough, I don't want more rooting. Or you could trust and play with allowing and see what would happen if the roots just did what they wanted to do under the surface. What could that feel like for you in your body right now? Yep, so maybe the roots take a swan dive into the dirt and they're 1,000 feet down. Or a mile down. And then they want the stability of balance, so they stretch out sideways. Yep, and they go another mile out, 5 miles out. Your work, and I use quotes as I say that, your work to do in this moment is relax your body and just allow the roots to do what they know how to do. And relax your body again. Yeah. And use your breath. And what if in this moment you can allow the roots to start to pull from you any places, emotions, feelings, heaviness, energies that are ready to be released or moved from your physical body. What if that's the whole point of the roots, is that they support you? And so they take the places in you that might feel a little stuck or heavy, and they provide some relief by tugging or pulling at the bottoms of your feet. And you get to choose, right? You can hang on to all of the emotions, or you can trust and allow. What if I just let that be energy that moves through my body? And it just goes to the roots. And then the roots start to have a party because they have a job to do. They have something to transmute. Right? They can take all that toxic, and I use that loosely, that stuck energy, that heavy feeling in your body, and they can take that down into the dirt, into the earth. And then the earth can dance and celebrate with the roots and say, oh yeah, we know what to do with stuck energy. We recycle it, right? We put it out into the earth, and we let it transmute, recycle, purify. And then maybe we can send that back up those legs through the roots, right? And suddenly you have this space in your body where energy just becomes energy. It's just moving. It's moving down into the earth. It's being transmuted, and then perhaps some of it comes back up. Perhaps it doesn't. But it's just flowing. It's just flowing. It's not being gripped or held by you. It's just moving. So what helps me is to visualize some sort of setup in my body. For me, I like to picture this magnetic pole that goes straight down through the center of my body, like where the chakras would be lined up. And it's just a magnet. And any places in my shoulders, my arms, my stomach, my legs, where energy feels tight, the magnet can pull that stuck energy, and then gravity tugs it down. So it moves down through that sort of tubing until it hits my hips, and then it splits into two. And then there's two tubes, one down each leg, that go all the way to my feet. And then my feet are the decision makers, the choice spot, right? I choose to release it, or I choose to hold on to it. And what I do almost every day, constantly throughout the day, is I just feel the emotions that come up or the energies that are moving, and I magnetize them to the center of my body, and then just let it move down to my feet, and I open my feet and I send it through into the roots. Right, and then you use breath to force that energy down or to help assist it in moving. And then come back and pay attention to your body for a moment as you do that. Yeah, notice if it feels any lighter, or what I find is there's more room to breathe. My chest doesn't feel quite as tight or heavy when I just let it move through me, when I just let it wave or wash through my body and into the earth. There's a partnership that becomes formed between me and this planet that I decided to come and hang out on. And so energy just moves. It moves through the physical body into the earth, and then just gets recycled. Yeah, so maybe do one more pull of gravity along that center line in your body. And just feel anything that in this moment wants to move. I don't even need to know what it's about. What if I just magnetize it to the center of me? And I feel gravity tugging at my toes, at my feet. Yep, and then I can just let it move all the way down through to my legs, to my feet, and then out into the earth. Good. Good. What a difference already. All right. One more piece, and then we're going to look at today's topic. It's so interesting because this part is always unknown to me. I have this commitment, this heart space that always wants to connect with Source, with God, with Creator, life force, energy, chi, whatever name you want to give to the energy that creates us, and yet I never know what it's going to look like until we're in this moment. It's the one part of the meditation I just can't quite ever put my fingers on. So today it feels more like a hug. So I want you to imagine that Source won't take on a form, but could just be like a breeze, it's not quite the right word, like a mist. Because you know how fog or mist you can sort of see it. You could almost put your hands on it, but then when you try to reach your hands out, it disappears or dissolves in front of you. If you could imagine that Source could arrive in your space with that sort of fill me energy. And to me, the way it looks is, I keep using Source, but you could use God or whatever name feels true to you. I imagine Source sort of filming in from the side and then coming behind me. Yeah, today it feels very present. Coming behind and then just sort of arriving in between you and whatever surface you are leaning against or lying down on. For me, I'm sitting in a chair and it just feels like this swoosh of energy that comes in behind and is much larger than the chair or me, much larger. But there's a way that Source can just arrive behind my back, above my head, below the seat that I'm sitting on, and then underneath my legs as they rest on the floor. And then just feel whatever energy wants to be shared between you and your Creator this morning. So it might simply be peace, just a sense of well-being. It might be bubbly, like champagne, like fizzy and energetic and full of anticipation. It might be soothing, like a mother would hold her child and say that everything is going to be okay. Even if we don't know what's next, like everything is okay. And it might just be quiet. It might just be a really quiet, steady love, a presence. Yeah, so whatever that energy is between the two of you, see how willing you are to allow that to envelop you, to permeate you, to just be next to you if that feels too intense. Yeah, and then see if you can relax your body. This trust issue is such a thing, right? It's like, do we trust that the earth is going to be underneath us to feel what we want to send into it through our feet? Can we trust that Source could actually sit behind us and want to hold us and love us? What if it's yes? What if the answer is yes? Wouldn't that be incredible? And if your answer is, I'm not quite sure, that's okay too, right? Just notice what comes up in you, and then see if you can encourage or allow your body to just relax and be okay with all that's coming up for you right now. Feel your feet underneath you, connecting you to the earth, grounding you into this moment. There you go. Yep. And you can just move energy through you. So if you felt resistance or wanting to leave your body or check out, yeah, it's okay. Just connect in again to the earth. Run all that emotion down to your feet. And then, right, you get to choose to send it into the earth and release. Good. All right, so you can allow Source to hang out with you behind your back if you'd like. You can say, thank you, I'm all done. You can go now and we'll talk later. Whatever feels right, just go ahead and trust that. Yeah, and then let's bring our attention to today, to the topic for today. It's interesting. I was sitting in my meditation and I had all these ideas, right? I arrive in my meditation in the morning on Sundays. I'm like, I know exactly what it's going to be about. This is what we're going to look at today. And then I sit, and of course it's nothing like that. And today, it was going to be about joy, like bubbling joy. And so I had this whole thing like, we're just going to be happy. It's going to be so good. It's going to be great. And then what I found in my meditation is it's about trust, right? You can't manufacture joy if you don't have trust underneath it. And so we're going to play with this idea of trust with the full intention that joy is what comes from faith, from trust, from surrendering to what is happening in and around us. And so through all of that, this idea of the path of least resistance, kept coming up. And it's an interesting topic because we say, I think, that we want that. Of course I want the path of least resistance. Who wouldn't? Like, why would I want a hard journey? And why would I want life to be difficult? Of course I want that. And yet as life takes us down this path, we're judging and evaluating and telling it how wrong it was and how wrong we were and how we made all these mistakes. And so this path of least resistance becomes just words, like, yeah, I'm doing that thing. And so what I want us to look at today is all of that, right? All of that with the intention of finding the space of peace and joy in the middle of that exploration. So where do we begin? The thing that was coming up for me first was, this questioning that I hear from so many people. I hear from clients. I read it all the time in articles and on Facebook. People are always sort of questioning, what's the point? What's the point of this job? What's the point of this relationship? What's the point of this work? What's the point of, life in general, politics, religion, everything. And so I wanted to look at that a little differently, kind of turn it on its side. So with your eyes closed, there's a way that we ask that question that comes from a place of disempowerment, right? Like the answer is outside of ourselves. So what's the point? Would somebody please tell me what the point is for my life? Because I don't have that answer. So can someone outside of me, some authority, explain it so that I know? And then I can line myself up and start to measure externally if I'm doing it the way that authority wants me to do it. So we start with our parents, right? Like, Mom and Dad, what am I doing with my life? Okay, great, I'm going to pick this career. So we start picking the career and we do that thing. And then we're trying to measure if we're doing that thing right. And so we're asking for approval from all these people outside of us, the university to give us the good grade, the company to give us the right job or the promotion or the increase in salary, the partner to validate that we're doing it all exactly as we're supposed to. And that's such a powerless, that's not quite the right word, it's such a seeking, grasping way to navigate our lives, because what if those places don't give us enough approval or the right approval? And so there's this constant hollow feeling inside of ourselves that we're not measuring up to what someone outside of us wants us to do. And so today what I wanted us to look at is, what if we go in? What if we turn inward? So imagine, see how to do that. Imagine that there's a version of you that can be outside of you with a little checkboard or a list, and she or he can turn and face you, right? And so there's a dialogue or conversation that can happen between you and your soul, between you and your own knowing, between you and your mind, whatever feels most comfortable right now. Right? It feels like a stare-off. Like, who's actually in charge here? Yeah, so what if you drop all the weapons, all of the resistance, and the two of you can just have a dialogue. You can just go, God, we're so sick of trying to measure up against what everybody wants. Like, what if we just get to have a conversation about why we're here and what the point of all of this is? Right? This is actually the beauty I find in meditation, is that inner voice, that little one with the clipboard, gets a seat at the table, finally gets a chance to be heard. Right? Because in this quiet space, there's room for that voice. So feel your grounding underneath your feet. Feel how you chose to be right here in this moment, having this conversation. No one forced you to do this. You can even stop if you don't want to listen to this and say, not in the mood, right? No one's forcing any of this. But there's an opportunity, if you choose, for you and this soul part of yourself, this wise one who decided to come and be a human in this lifetime at this crazy cool time of shifting energies and expansion on our planet, right? With all these amazing people and players that you have called into your life. What a brilliant choice this wise one made. So what if, for the next couple of minutes, I stop talking and you and your wise one have a conversation? And a conversation can feel like lots of things in meditation. It can feel like pictures, right? Like images come to mind, flashes of memories or words might pop up. You might literally hear a voice. Sometimes that's true, like you hear someone actually speaking to you. It might just be a knowing, a feeling, a sense of something. So what you're exploring right now is trust, right? Just like you trust that the earth is underneath your feet. You can choose to trust that your God or source can sit right behind you and hold you and love you. And what if in this moment you trust that this wise voice inside of you has something to say about why you decided to come and be a soul in this lifetime, having this cool human experience? So go ahead and just begin that dialogue, and I'll just hold space for a few minutes while you do that. Good. So if you need more time, you can just continue this dialogue. You can tune me out and do what you want to do or need to do in this space. And if that conversation has brought something forward, for me, what I was hearing is you came here to do exactly what you're doing right now, which feels so true to me. To hold space, to love, to guide is absolutely, why I'm here. And I've confirmed that. I've found that centered space inside of me in my own meditation and built up this trust. Right? So when you create space and you continue to trust and you deepen and deepen into that relationship with yourself, the guidance becomes so clear, so easy, right? There is this beautiful flow that begins to happen because we're not trying to grasp or hold on or force. So looking at one of the things that came forward, and if you tuned out during that part, no problem. What I have found to be pretty consistent, I would say it's almost a guarantee for every soul. Part of the work is always to learn to love more, right? To open the heart space even when it gets hurt, even when it feels like someone stomped all over it, right? Part of the soul's work is to learn emotion, feel emotion, trust emotion, and then have preferences about which emotions we like more than others, but explore all of that, right? That's a deep part of the soul's work, in my opinion. So if you had something come forward, look at that for yourself. If you would rather explore this idea of loving more, you can look at that too. So I want you to pick one time in the past, let's say from now 5 or 10 years back, one event, situation, relationship, drama, whatever feels like it's going to come up first, one time where you felt like you were blocked in that lesson you were trying to learn. Or you did it wrong, right? You screwed up royally, you made a mistake. Wherever you feel like there's been resistance to the lesson, go ahead and just pick that one time. Right, for me, often the go-to, if I want a chance to shame or judge myself, is always my divorce. This huge catastrophe where everything blew up and everyone was disappointed. And so it's an easy go-to for me, right? If I'm supposed to love more, then why couldn't I love more through that? So what we're going to do today is look at it with a different filter. Normally, the filter you put on when you look at that story is judgment, right? So we immediately go to, I screwed it up, I didn't do it right, I should have done it this way, somebody was let down or disappointed or hurt, I abandoned them or they abandoned me, right? The judgment, the evaluation immediately comes forward. What if today we put on a filter of trust? I know. Right? Trust? What do you mean? What if we're trusting that block or situation that came up was actually the path of least resistance for our soul? So for me, going through the divorce literally cracked my heart open, right? It was a deep journey into, why am I here? What is my voice? What is the point of all of this, right? And can I really love even with a broken heart? How do I do that? How do I stay true to myself when there's so much judgment around me and in me? And so if you can feel, right, if I was trusting that was the path of least resistance, then knowing that my heart needed to be opened in a new way, that was actually the best way for that to happen. while still allowing myself to know who I am and be strong enough to walk through that. Right? So you're taking a story or a belief that you've had or held for a while, and I'm just asking you to take the lens off that is normally judgment and evaluation, and put a lens over it that says, I trust, or I'm willing to explore, trusting that my soul knew exactly what to do, and that was the path of least resistance for me to move through my lesson or to my lesson. So go ahead and relax your body and feel your feet grounding you into this moment. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes again to just explore that. Explore this story or block with a new lens of trust. Go ahead and take a couple minutes to do that. If you're finding that you're stuck, just let energy move through your body. Be magnetized down that center line all the way to your feet. And then down through your feet and out, and just let it be a motion that moves through. And then come back to center again and ask the question, right? What if I can trust that I'm actually in alignment with the path of least resistance? What would that look like? Good. Good. All right. Let's imagine we can take anything that came up and that looking at the story and just let it be energy that moves, and feel the magnetic center in your body just pull all of that story right towards the center of you. Even if you're feeling like, yeah, I did it great, I wasn't even worried about it now that I look at it again. Awesome. Let that be energy. Let all of it just be energy that moves right to the center of your body. And instead of gripping or holding on to any of this, what if you just feel all of it wash through you? Move all the way down through your body to your hips, divide into two, and then just wave down through your legs. It's okay if your legs shake or tremble a little bit. It's just energy moving. Down through to your feet, and then just wash out through your feet, right into the earth, just energy moving through. you can come back and do the same exercise, over and over with different places of judgment that you have for yourself or different stories that you have been holding on to. And just let it be a practice, right? As you feel stuck, hold that story up and then allow that inner voice to tell you what might actually be true about that story when you put a different filter or a different lens on. And then just wave it, wash it out. All right, so let's check in with that little inner voice who is standing there. What you might want to do in your own meditation time later or another day is to explore what's written on the checklist, right? Ask that version of you to share. She or he seems to know a lot about why you're here, what your soul is about in this time. So you can make this a conversation, right, where you sit here and you go, what else do you know? What else is true, right? What else have you been hiding from me? Because I thought I was here to do these things, and your checklist looks a lot different. And then the play or the work for you could be to start to align more with internal checklists, internal knowing of your lessons, internal evaluation of where you're doing it right and where you can improve, right? Because you're not doing it wrong anywhere, but there's just this coming back to yourself and asking, what else is here for me? Good. All right. And then what I really wanted to get to is the joy part, the fun part of this. So this idea of trust, right? We trust that the earth is underneath us, that gravity is not going to let us fly out into space every day when we get out of bed in the morning. We trust, or we're learning to trust, that Source is in and around us at all times. So what if we put that into an energy visual or a play that we can do together? There's an oracle card that I love that's called Go with the Flow. And it has this picture. I'll have to see if I can post it later for you. It has a picture of this person who is literally just laying in the water with an arm sort of crooked behind the head and legs just sort of loose, not paddling, and all this water around this person. And the card talks about, water isn't stagnant. It's always moving, and it moves in the direction of the lowest ground. It moves in the direction of the least resistance. It's flowing downstream, not forcing against itself. And so I want you to visualize in this moment, what if Source has a river that is just for you? In that card, there was no one else in that person's river. It was just their river. So what if you can visualize there is a place, a river, just for you, and see if you can see yourself as you are right now in your life in that river. So for some of you, you might be like swimming madly upstream, right, going against the current and trying to do the butterfly stroke or something really complex in this river that is just gently moving. Some of you might just kind of be standing in the middle of the river looking around. I see a couple of you sitting on this side on the riverbank actually wondering, should I even get in the river? I don't know. What if I don't like the river? What if it's not my river and I'm at the wrong one? Right? All these philosophical questions about the river. What if in this moment I give you permission, or you give yourself permission, you're at the right place. It's definitely your river, and nobody else is supposed to be in there. It's just for you. Try that as a base theory. Right? And then see if you can find your way into the river. If you're paddling upstream, what if you could just imagine putting your feet down? Yeah, and I get it. Like for some of us, that is the hardest belief, right? What if we think there's a ground underneath us, and there isn't any, and we try to put our feet down and we stop swimming and then we drown, or the current overtakes us, or we're not prepared, we give up control. There's so many beliefs that come rushing in when we try to change the way we're doing things. So what if in this moment Source has just agreed that all rivers are only 2 feet deep right now? So if you've been swimming and trying to get yourself upstream, what if Source could be right by you going, it's okay, it's 2 feet. It's 2 feet. You can just turn, you can put your feet on the ground, you can feel the surface of the earth underneath you, just like we're doing in this energy exercise right now where you're planting your feet on the earth. And what if you can just pause and stand up? If you're tall, you might even be able to sit, right? And at 2 feet, still have your head above the water. If you're just entering the water, what if it's the most perfect temperature, right? You thought it was going to be cold, and it's actually like 80 degrees, or it feels like a hot springs, right? What if the water is like silky smooth? And from where we sat on the side before, it looked like it was not going to be fun, but now that you're in it, what if it feels incredible? Right? And you can stand in the middle of the river and look around and marvel at the fact that it was all just for you. Your river, nobody else's, right? You get to stand here and feel which way the current is going. Right? So kind of get your bearings. Feel how fast it's flowing. If it's too fast, you can ask Source, can you slow my river down a little bit? If it feels too slow, you can say, I actually prefer a little more motion. If we could speed that river up to a speed that feels better to me. Right, and then let's play with starting to trust that we could actually back float in a river. So this might take a few steps, right? What you might need to do first is, put yourself lower in the water and then have a hand actually on the surface of the river so you can kind of feel, if I lift my feet up and I start to kind of float, I still have some form of control, right? I'm still able to connect to the earth. You might want to go over to the riverbank and have one hand on the riverbank while your feet are kind of getting used to floating. And what you'll notice is your body is automatically knowing which way the river is flowing because the river wants to sort of pull you, guide you in that direction. Yeah, so start trusting your body to know which way to go. Start trusting that Source has an abundant river for you here. It's not going to dead end where you're going to run out. I think many times we think the original source of where the river starts is what we want to try to get to, which is why we're swimming upstream trying to get to the source. But what if we kind of turn that story upside down? What if the destination, what if the riverbank itself and the river exactly where you are right now has all of the same knowledge, love, wisdom? What if this is the perfect place to be and you don't have to go to the original source? Yeah, and so just start to play, how do I feel floating in the river? If you feel safer holding onto the side for a while, great. Go ahead and do that. If you're ready to just start surrendering or trusting this path of the river, what if you put your hand under your head and let your other arms kind of float? Let your feet float. You can pedal a little bit if that makes you feel better. Right? And what if you just start to feel where you're going to be taken? Yep. Notice what comes up in your body. Yep. So if you feel afraid or overwhelmed or not quite sure about all of it, you can put your foot down, stand up, lay back down. You can let that just be energy that runs through your body, gets magnetized to the center, runs all the way down to your feet, and then out into the water. All right, and if you've had your eyes closed in that imagining of being in the river, what if while you're back floating on the river, you can open your eyes and look up and see the sky? See the clouds. You can start to play the cloud game, imagining what the clouds are. What if you can see the sun shining down? What if the animals start to come talking to you so you can see hawks flying overhead? Or as you're floating down the river, you can see animals on the side drinking from the river. Yeah, do you notice how much you might have been missing by keeping your eyes closed and swimming upstream and holding on tight? Right? There's this whole gorgeous world around you. And what if your only task is just to float? Yeah, so just feel in your body, like, what if that's true? If it's hard to believe that you can picture, that misty version of Source right above the water or over on the side of the riverbank, just sort of following along as you're floating, just hanging out, going where you go. You could even imagine that version of Source can go in front of your path and just make sure, there's no little branches in the river or that the water isn't going to run out. But it just continues for as long as you want to float in the river. For some of you who need people, you can imagine there's like 100 million rivers all lined up and everyone's just sort of floating in theirs, and you can just raise your hand and wave, right? And you're not by yourself. What if all of this is true? And it's really meant to be this easy. And we just forget. We just forget and we make it so complex and difficult and all these trials and tribulations and struggle, right? What if this is what Source wants to show us? And every time we create space to tune back into our own little inner voices, to tune back into the places where we feel joy bubbling up inside of us, this is the image Source brings over and over again, right? It's meant to be pleasurable and fun and an adventure. And I'm right here and I've got your back and I'm swimming alongside you and I'm bringing you all these beautiful moments and signs and confirmations around you every day. You just have to open your eyes up and remember to look. Yeah. What if? So I am going to leave you back floating in your river for a little bit longer. I encourage you to just take a couple extra minutes and just experience this. Let your cells feel and integrate the joy that is always waiting right here in this moment for you. And just see if there's more wisdom that wants to be shared, great. If not, what if you just practice gratitude for a few more minutes and just give thanks for whatever comes to your mind. And I'm going to do the same. So much love from me to each one of you. Have a beautiful day.